Okay, so the problem is that we need another model. And I want to present to you a different model that we're going to talk about. And everything I say from now on is going to fit into this model. Okay? And it's called a loving trust family. It's not a democracy. I'll tell you a little bit about this family. This family assumes the natural role of the parent. That the parent is wiser, stronger, more experienced in life, and therefore the parent has the right to preside in the home. Does that make sense? We're not talking about equality, but we can talk about dignity and self-worth and all that. That's great. So this loving trust family believes that the child is a free agent and that the child is a sacred trust. There is nothing more difficult or more important than raising a human being, is there? What work can compare with that? There's nothing as important or as difficult as that. So we have the loving trust family where the parent sees the children as capable, very capable, as good, as a sacred trust, entrusted to them, all right, to raise that child and to protect that child and to love that child and to provide limits for that child. All right? So the love for the child is unconditional. The child is cherished. What do we mean by cherished? It means much more than just loved. It means treasured. It means held in high esteem. Now, my dad loved me, but he didn't cherish me. And I love my children, but I didn't cherish them. They didn't feel valued. Do you understand? Part of love and the responsibility of being a parent is to communicate what you really feel, the real value that you hold those children at. And all they hear is this yelling and jumping up and down and screaming. That's all they hear. Okay? For every good comment we make about our children, guess how many bad ones we make in the home on the average? For every attaboy, how many you dummies are there? For every single, hey honey, thank you, that was beautiful, thanks a lot. For every one of those, we have 25. Hurry up, you're late, honey. Your bed isn't made right. How many times do I have to tell you to do this? You're going to make the whole family late to church. Will you please hurry? Come on, we go through this every morning. And you didn't have your breakfast yet. Will you please get in there and do it? Honey, those shoes don't go with that. Get back up there and do this. And told you how many times to pick up the dog pies? It's 4 weeks in a row now. We're getting rid of the stinking dog. All right. I could go on and do 25 for one attaboy. Do you understand? Does it sound like home? You know what it sounds like. But the child feels unconditionally loved in this loving trust family. It puts the parents having a sacred trust for the child. And then it does something else. It also has the children who recognize the authority of the parents, and in faith and in the spirit of love and support, they sustain those parents. You ever heard anything like this before? So they sustain them. So the child feels loved, capable, and responsible, and discipline is by consequences, by consent, and most of all, by role model. Now, where do you think I learned to be so dingy? Do you think my dad sat me down and said, this is the way to be goofy? He didn't do that, but he showed me every day how to rage. He showed me every day how to talk, how to reason. We're talking about the loving trust family. I'm not talking about the authoritarian, the permissive, the neglectful, the democratic families. And I want to suggest this one to you. This is the one with family councils. This is the one where the parents preside. This is the one where the children are held in sacred awe, where they are treasured, where the parents are also treasured, that there's mutual respect, there's no abuse, and we don't have the arguing, we don't have all this stuff. But you'll never make this family. You'll never reach this if you don't understand the correct principles of parenting. Because it'll be just a confusing mess, and your kids will be upset, and you'll be upset, and then you'll get back into your power, and your raging, and your controlling, and your punishing, until you just drive your kids away.
Is there a way in Styles to have an authoritarian that feels possibly the children are capable of good, or say a democratic that feels children incapable and irresponsible?
Yeah, you can get this back, and you switch back and forth. You don't stay autocratic. You might go permissive for a while, and then get neglectful. And then you really try. You read the stinking book, and you really go for it again. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you slam somebody in the wall again, and that works, okay? And so now you're back over here. I'm telling you, it's frustrating. And you can be all over the board here. And the problem is that you don't know what's correct, or you would do that. And you would have faith in that. If you just knew what was correct. You see, I would do what I knew was correct if I knew it was correct, even though it did not have real short-term benefits. And even though I didn't understand it, if I knew it was right, I'd have faith to do it, and I would follow through with it. Does that make sense? Okay, you got a question?
What does the by consent mean in the middle of the discipline is?
By consent, that the children recognize the authority of the parents, and they support the parents in their authority, and they're willing to be ruled by the parent. They're willing to accept the fact that the parents love them, number one, because the parents manifest this, and that what the parents do for them is often, it's for their good, but often beyond their capability of understanding. So they act in faith, and they're willing to be ruled. You make this a positive decision on their part. Because I want to tell you something, there's no way to rule without consent anyway. You're going to find that you really can't control somebody else. I want to tell you people, if your kids are 15 and 16, I want to tell you, you cannot make them go to school. You can drive them there, you can beat them up, you can get them in trouble, you can have a big bully sit with them in class, but they won't learn anything. And they'll sneak out the back door. I've taken my kid to the front door and he went out the back door. Do you think that you can stop your kids from having sex if they're 15 and 16? You're going to follow them around? What are you going to do? Face it. This world is not set up so that you can run the life of your kids. It's not set up so you can prevent your children, when they're 16 and 18, from doing things that you don't want them to do. And if you can make it an issue that you love them and that you're concerned over them and you want them to voluntarily to follow your counsel and advice, and they will do this by consent out of faith, you appeal to the moral aspect of it, then you have a much better chance than saying, you've got to do this because I'm mom and I said so and this is the way it's got to be. Because then you're making control the issue and not free agency and responsibility the issue. There's a huge difference. My kid was into school, right? I mean, he attended school and I was into education. And I wanted him to do his homework. So he would come home and I'd fuss with him on the homework. Do you think he ever did it? I ranted and raved. Do you think, I mean, gee, they get there and they drop the pencil and they can't forget their books and they don't want to do it. You go in and they're asleep. I can't make that kid read. I can't make him do his lesson. I can't do that. And I finally recognized that I can't do that. And see, the issue had become control. You can't make me. Yes, I can. I'm bigger than you. And you're not going to eat. You're going to stay in this room. I'm going to lock you in until you read that book. What'll he do? You can't stop them from doing that, people. You really can't. If they're bound and determined to do it. In other words, what I'm saying is don't get hung up in control. The whole issue is control. I'm going to do what I want. No, you're not. You're going to do what I want. And so if I want you to get your scouting thing, guess what he doesn't want? The issue is control, not scouting. Now, you're going to go to school and you're going to study. No, I'm not. The issue is control, not responsibility for one's own education. Do you see the difference? You're going to find that you really can't control somebody else.